Most Valid Opinion presents the autobiography mini doc, Jazzy, Dehaven, The Fallout. Let's go. To gain her permission for the Trenton move, Jay had told Gloria that he would enroll at the nearby Trenton Central High School and stay out of trouble. However, while Dehaven had used his attendance at the high school to make connections with local girls, Jay stuck to the street and never fulfilled the promise he had made to his mother. He did visit the school once to see Dehaven, but this led to him being arrested for trespassing. Jay had work in his pockets, but since it was his first arrest and offense, he was released on his own recognizance. In the act of kingship, it was Dehaven's mother who picked him up from the station, telling the police that Sean was her son. To cover for the loss of product, Jay headed back to Marcy and worked for 60 straight hours with a local kid who owed him money. As far as Gloria Carter, knowing what her son was doing when he disappeared to Trenton for months on end, she knew he was dealing drugs, but we never really had those conversations. We just pretty much ignored it. All the mothers knew. It sounds like, how can you let your son? But I'm telling you, it was normal. In this 2013 Vanity Fair interview, the father of one explained how having 10 toes on the road saved me from a lot of things. Because I wasn't in front of my mother's house. Most kids were in the front of their apartment buildings dealing drugs. Marcy Projects was a danger zone then. So a lot of friends that I grew up with during that time got killed or went to jail. Sean and Irby were so successful in the drug game that just a year in their Jersey partnership, they had each 100,000 cash hidden in their mattresses. With this number increasing steadily over the months, there was certainly not a shoebox in the household. Most people don't make that much money selling drugs, but everyone thinks they could be the one that really makes it and gets successful. Hope told Vanity Fair, but I did. Because when you went to Trenton, the prices doubled and tripled. So I was more successful than the guy who stood in front of the apartment building in Marcy. According to Dehaven in a 2011 interview with The Post, the two operated under two different business philosophies. Jay was more efficient. I would overpay the runners so they would be happy and not steal. But he would pay them exactly what they were worth, Irby explained. I kept 15 runners, he had 2 people, and we were doing pretty much the same numbers. Irby would also add that a lot of people thought Jay was stingy. If the product was 10 cash, you couldn't get it for 9. While their business grew, so did their friendship. Sean and Dehaven were inseparable, sharing the same clothes, jewelry, cars, and women. On February 14th, 1988, Jazzy, Jay-Z's first nickname, was the one who drove Dehaven to the hospital to visit the new daughter, Christina, on the night that she was born. She was to be the first of 7 children for Dehaven and his best friend. That night, Dehaven asked Jazzy to be the godfather. There's currently no apparent communication between godfather and goddaughter. It's important to mark that during their early years hustling together, Hov also moving between Trenton and New York to record and tour with his early rap mentor, Jazzo. In 1989, they would travel to London to work on his debut album, Word to the Jazz. After being left with a negative view of the music industry, Jay would double down on his hustling with Dehaven, and they soon came to work alongside Emery Jones when their operation first expanded into Maryland, and then later Virginia. Emery's house on the Robin Street on Cambridge would become the cooking spot for the crew. When traveling along the I-95, Emery, someone who Hope still has in his inner circle, operating as the creative director of Rock Nation clothing label Paper Planes. In Decoded, Hope spoke openly of doing major work in Maryland, but revealed the period of time ended badly: shootouts in clubs, major police investigations, whole crews arrested. I got out of there just in time. Some of my best friends weren't so lucky. It was tragic. According to the biography, Zach O'Malley Greenberg, the operation headed by Jazzy, Dehaven, Emery was moving 20,000 kilos of cocaine a week. When they turned their pure bricks into crack, they were quadrupling the profit, making over 80,000 a week. While the drug game brought the great wealth and experience they would never have earned if they had stayed in Marcy, It also brought close brushes with death and the law. Once Dehaven was shot in the back as Jay stood in front of him. Then he had to drive his bleeding friend to the hospital. In 1990, a rival dealer in Marcy felt violated by Jay moving into his territory, running up on him with a Tech 9 semi-automatic pistol. He fired off 3 shots. 3 shots couldn't touch me. Divine intervention. All which missed the aspiring rapper, and then the gun jammed. In a 1994 event, the rapper detailed on 99 Primes in 2003, Jay and his crew were driving to Baltimore on the I-95 with some stationary amount of cocaine hidden in the sunroof of his Maxima. 2 Maryland state troopers pulled him over for speeding and suspected that he was in possession, called for the dope sniffing dogs. But thankfully for Hov, the unit was busy on another job. The cop tried this. Jazzy told Terry Gross on the NPR in 2010. He really had no probable cause, so he just said, man, get out of here. Close calls like that had Sean Carter wavering on his commitment to the drug game. And he would later say, you're playing Russian roulette with your life every single day, 365 days a year. You're going to crap out, sooner or later. It's inevitable, it's just natural. In 1995, Jay made a well-timed move into the music industry, leaving the game behind. To work a full-time job on his 1996 debut studio album, Reasonable Doubt. As he told Vanity Fair in 2013, it was hard for me to just walk away from the drug game. I had to really make a hard decision and say, I'm going to try to make this music thing work. I was trying to do both. Nothing good comes when you're dabbling in both of those 2 worlds. I didn't have any success in the beginning with music because I needed to commit fully. I need to commit fully to something or it just won't work. Dehaven also had a gut feeling it was time to leave the life behind, and he went cold turkey with 500,000 cash. Around the same time, an Eastern Shore drug dealer had begun working as an undercover informant. In September 1997, federal prosecutors indicted Dehaven, Irby, Emery Jones, and Clevon Tyrone Big Ty Johnson on drug conspiracy charges, with the feds alleging that they were masterminds behind a 7-year conspiracy to develop a massive consumer market for crack cocaine. In Irby's 1999 trial, the first entry on the list of the government exhibits was a picture of him, Jones, and an individual identified as Jay-Z. In the end, the case took Emery down for 12 years, and Big Ty is due to be released in June 2020. We were together every single day, Hov told billionaire Warren Buffett and Steve Forbes in a 2010 conversation. And had it not been for music taking me out the right time, my life could have been easily been theirs. It was when Dehaven was arrested that the relationship between him and Jigga went south, according to Dehaven. The 2 spoke in early 1998 before he went upstate, and Jay-Z told him, don't worry, man, I got you. You ever need some help? I got you. Irby says Jay has not spoken to him since, possibly due to a belief that Irby spoke to the feds about him and his involvement in the drug ring. Emery had told 12, give me 12, and told him go to hell about Jay, the rapper was once addressed. In Dehaven's now strained relationship in September 1998, a week ago, and later in 2002's It Ain't Personal, and in 2006 Black Republican. In 2000, Irby was acquitted from the conspiracy charges on technical grounds and released from prison, but he would return to the system 2 years later. When Dehaven was released from prison in 2006, he tried to contact Jay-Z, but couldn't get clearance to speak to him. This resulted in Dehaven coming out swinging against the president and CEO of Def Jam at the time, uploading multiple videos to YouTube in August and September of 2007 that accused him of turning his back on the people who helped him become famous and exaggerating his drug dealing credentials. 2 months later, Hov would directly address these claims, naming his ex-partner for the first time in 4 years. Fuck Dehaven for caving in. That's why we don't speak. Made men ain't supposed to make statements. He rapped on the standout American Gangster track, No Hook. End of story. I follow the code, crack the safe, other niggas in this game, so they practice hate. Leave that boy Hov alone, why don't ya? He has now addressed his childhood friend since then. And this is the autobiography, mini doc of Jay-Z and Dehaven. The Fallout, brought to you by Most Valid Opinion. Let's go. MVO. I'm Al Cook. Shout out to OG Raz. Shout out to Big Matt. Shout out to Breeze. Shout out to Cal from the South. Shout out to Kelly. Shout out to my man Frank Poe. You know, shout out to my man Mox. Shout out to everybody. Most Valid Opinion. We here.